tutorial we are going to work on the song called Fairytale. Now to start we are going to learn how to play a chord, because that is how the song starts. It starts like this. So how do you play a beautiful chord on the violin? Well, first of all, you can practice on the open strings. Play your D, A and E string together. Can you try that? If we play a chord, we don't play every note separately. Instead, we normally play 2 double stop after each other. So how does that work? I will show you. First of all, we play the D and the A at the same time. And then we play the A and E at the same time. We both play in the same direction, A and D. Move the bow to the A and E and play A and E. If you would do that fast, you would get the chord effect. Now there's one other thing that is really important when you're practicing your chords, and that is that you make sure that you play the first 2 notes. The double stops are not equally divided. So it's not like you play A, D for half of the bow, and then A and E for the other half of the bow. Normally you play the first double stop much shorter than the second one. So you play the D and A very shortly, and then you move directly to A and E. Do you see how shortly I only play D and A for a very short time? In slow motion, D, A, move, D, A, A. So the largest part of the bow, I'm playing A and E, and only for a short moment I'm also playing the D string. So the last 2 notes of the double stops or of the chord are normally the notes that you hold on to, right? So you're normally not going to play. Okay, sometimes you do, but normally you play. Right? You normally don't play like. You play normally. So fast, all the notes. It's just the same in Fairytale. Do you hear that? I directly move D and A for a very short time, and then directly play the first finger already on the E string. Also on the up bow, you are playing very short, and the longest you play the higher notes. So that is something very important in this song, and keep it in mind when you're practicing your chords. Make sure to play to see a chord of 3 notes as 2 double stops. You have the lower double stop. In this case, if you look at the sheet music, you will see it is the open D string and the open A string. And you have the higher double stop, which is the A and the first finger on the E string. And you want to play the first double stop shortly, directly slur to the next double stop, so play it on the same bow stroke, and then play the next double stop. Now you probably already noticed this song is not for beginners. If you've just started playing the violin and are like, wait a second, I don't understand what you're talking about, that totally makes sense. The prerequisite for learning this song is that you know how to play slurs, that you can actually play chords and that you've practiced it properly, and that you basically should have a good basic violin technique. You should be able to play double stops, chords. And if you can't do that yet, I really recommend to get started with an easier song and get later back to this song if you have built more of a foundational technique. Okay, so now let's go and see, next to the chords, what else should we be doing in this piece. So, oh, and one more tip before we go to that about the chords. You really have to make sure to play the chord so I said you have to divide it into double stops, right? The lower double stop and the higher double stop. Well, you also have to imagine the lower double stop can also only have this little part of the bow. We have here the balance part of the bow. You can put your finger there and the bow will automatically balance on it, right? You should never play the lower double stop, use more bow for it than until that balance point. So if you are still playing A and D and you are already in the middle of the bow, then you probably didn't do it right. So for this piece, you really want to play that first double stop very quickly. Okay, so now let's have a look at the other double stops. We also have a lot of double stops, so regular double stops, so not chords. So in this case we are playing 2 notes at the same time. And one of the most difficult double stops we have in this piece is the first finger on the E string and first finger on the A string at the same time. In this case you have to place your finger on 2 strings at the same time. If you have larger fingers, this is not going to be so difficult, but if you have very tiny fingers like me, sometimes you need to do some tricks to actually place your finger on both strings at the same time. One of the tricks I use is to actually place my finger in the middle of both strings, so they are not really like on the string, but they are like just next to the string. And I'm not sure if you can see it in the video, I hope you can see it in the top camera. So I'm like placing it to the side. So yeah. Really make sure that you place that finger on both of the strings at the same time. That is going to make it so much more beautiful. One of the things that you do not want to be doing is to collapse your finger. So to do something like this. Because then it will just not be in tune. Make sure that you come from above, so the finger is still on the fingertip. This is what it looks like, instead of this, right? Don't collapse your finger, just don't use that trick because one of the notes will be out of tune. So you will have to practice a lot to make sure that all the double stops sound equal in this piece. So you don't want to have something like right? You don't want that the bow goes either too much to the E string or too much to the A string. It needs to be at both strings at the same time. To really make sure that you find the correct place, you have to experiment with your elbow level. Do you see that when I move up with my hand, my elbow moves along, and we are moving to the A string. So we have to find the perfect place. Where should the elbow be? Should it be, if you play too much on the E string and you don't really hear the A string as much, you have to make sure that your elbow and your hand goes up. And if you hear the E string not enough, so you hear mostly the A string when you're playing double stops, you want to move your hand down. And you can experiment and even practice like this. To just practice keeping your arm at the correct level so that you hear 2 notes at the same time. And this practice is going to be very helpful for both the double stops as for the chords. So I hope this tutorial gave you some more insight in how you could practice Fairytale. And again, I want to remember every one of you, don't be discouraged if you cannot play this yet. This is really an advanced piece, and if you're able to play this, you can be very proud of yourself. So stick with your beginner tunes. Everyone that is going to practice and practice and practice is going to play this in 5 years. I promise you. If you are going to practice every single day, you can play this in 5 years. But you have to be consistent and you have to practice the right things. If you want to know exactly what I recommend to practice, go to Julia's Violin Academy. juliasviolinacademy.com. Here I show my step-by-step plan to how to practice the violin and how to get to the level to actually play a song like this. And I will show you exactly what skills to practice, which techniques and how to practice them, and which etudes and exercises, and which songs to really slowly work your way up to playing a song like this. If you've liked this video, please subscribe to this channel. I'm going to post a whole lot more videos, and please turn on the notifications so you don't forget to practice. Each time you see my video, get your violin out and practice. You are not allowed to ever watch this channel without having your violin. Do you have your violin with you? If not, you have to get it right now and get back to the beginning of the tutorial or an easier tutorial and go practice right now. I can't stress this enough, you guys, you have to practice. Without practice, you're never going to learn how to play the violin. The practice is so much more important than following the YouTube lessons. So each time you're following my YouTube lessons, remember, get your violin out and do everything with me as we are practicing together, because that is the way you are going to learn how to play the violin. Okay, good luck everyone, and I hope to see you on my next tutorial. And please let me know below in the comments, just because I'm curious, who actually had the violin out in this tutorial? Did you? Be honest. And if you are gonna get it right now, please also post it in the comments, so I know that I motivated at least one of you to get your violin out and to start practicing. Okay, good luck everyone, and see you very soon again. Bye!